You've put Bristol Sport in place, you've got Bristol City and Bristol Rugby in place. How much are you still involved in everything? How day to day? Is it week to week?
Well, I've got a good team in place. I mean, it's all to do. I mean, nobody can run do it all themselves, and I don't intend to try and do any of it myself. I intend to empower people like John Payne, I've mentioned, with Bristol City, and Martin Griffiths with Bristol Sport, and Chris Boy and Steve Gavett with Bristol Rugby, to run those businesses, to run those clubs in the best possible way, to involve the fans in that development as well. So, if you like, I oversee it. They come to me for investment. They make the investment case. We need to do this, this, and this, and then I decide whether I'm prepared to fund that or not. Yeah. So it's much more structured than it has been in the past, and I think that will be good for all parties.
You mentioned fantastic facilities out here. Clearly, you've always wanted fantastic facilities back in Bristol. As we're out here, I think everything is beginning to whirl into action at Ashton Gate. How pleased will you be when that finally takes shape?
Well, delighted, because forget the fact of the dramas over Ashton Vale. The reality is we need a stadium. We need a good stadium with numbers we can attract, which will pay us to give us the profit that we need. So to create a 27,000 seater stadium at Ashton Gate, which is the home of Bristol City, and to create the facilities within that infrastructure that generates income on a 24/7 basis, it's got to be right. So the conference facilities and everything else, as soon as we announced that we were putting the stadium together and announced the bar, the contractors, we had people phoning us up looking for conference facilities from 2016 and onwards. So that tells you the potential that's out there, and we haven't been tapping it. Ashton Gate has been a tired old home for a long time, and it needs to be replaced. And now we're doing it. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's not so much false dawns in the past, it's just frustrations in the past. It's just to get that stake in the ground and get going.
There's always been a reason for not doing it, or there's always been a barrier to stop us doing it, and those barriers are gone now, and there's no reasons anymore. We're doing it. The pitch is virtually ready, and the East End is now underway, so everything's beginning to happen. So when people start turning up for the games next season, they can see that Bristol City, things are changing in Ashton Gate, and that's for the better.
Yeah. One of the synergies actually of Bristol Sport, making Bristol proud. I mean, you're hoping to do that within sport, obviously, but Ashton Gate could be key to that.
I want the teams to be successful. I want, and Bristol City more than most, because that's where the real passion lies. So I want Bristol City to be in. I've said it. I want it to be in the Premiership, but to get in the Premiership, we've got to have the right infrastructure, and it can't rely on me to get it to the Premiership. It's got to rely on itself. It's got to build its own profitability to make that happen. So when we look at the likes of Burnley and Swansea and teams that we can say, well, we're comparable to those, and not even bigger clubs than those in some ways, that they've done it by self-financing it, and so have we got to do that going forward. So that's why the stadium is so important. 11 to 12,000. If we can get 21, 22,000 on a regular basis, in the same manner as Norwich and Ipswich have done in the past, then we're on our way. And then when we get there, we can stay there. That's the point.